morning, Saturday, July 17th. And yesterday I read an article about a journalist who has been working with the FBI. Who is an Iranian American, Masih Alinejad, and she has contributed to the U.S. government-funded Voice of America Persian language service and reports on human rights in Iran. And she has family in Iran. So yesterday I read that U.S. prosecutors have charged 4 Iranians who are alleged to be intelligence operatives for Tehran, plotting to kidnap Miss Alinejad. This is not the first time this has happened. In recent years, Iranian intelligence officers have tricked a number of overseas activists to travel to destinations where they were kidnapped and sent back to Iran. And that did not bode well for them. This kidnap plot was not just a push and grab kind of thing. These 4 Iranians hired private investigators under false pretenses to watch the journalist in Brooklyn, videotaping her family and home as part of the plot to kidnap her. So these guys were a well-organized machine, so to speak, but not well-organized enough to not get caught. They planned to forcibly take their intended victim to Iran, where I am sure the victim's fate would have been very uncertain. And that's the best I could say. And that's exactly what the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York said. He said this young lady's future was in grave danger. Iranian operatives had created a plot how they could spirit the journalist out of New York on a high-speed boat headed for Caracas, because they can't get transportation from the U.S. directly to Iran for whatever reason. And then once they got her to Caracas, they could fly from there to Iran. So imagine this if you can. Iran is doing this to this young lady, Miss Alinejad, in retaliation for her freedom of expression, for her voice against what's going on in Iran. Now, could you imagine what would happen in the United States if we did something like that to our citizens? We would have no citizens left. One of her causes was the publicizing of women in Iran protesting the laws requiring head coverings. And for that, they're going to kidnap her. And she also spoke about Iranians killing other Iranians because they were demonstrators back in 2019. The young lady is what I would call a freedom fighter. Masih Alinejad, freedom fighter. And I use this article now as a basis for my general complaint against Iran. They are a nation that cannot be trusted. And we, the United States, are rushing to get back into this Iranian deal, the nuclear deal, which I have been opposed of from, against, whatever, ever since Barack Obama signed this deal. Iran is a place where there are no freedoms, where the mullahs run the country with an iron fist, and if you step out of line, your life is on the line. So why? Why do we want to go back into this deal? Why do we even want this country to still exist? I don't know what the population is in Iran, maybe 50 million people. But it's a major totalitarian state in the world, sponsoring terrorists, vowing to destroy Israel completely, wipe them off the face of the earth. And we're going to let them. We and our partners are going to let them work on a nuclear arsenal and build up their missiles and everything. Why? Why? Why do we want this country to even exist? If they have the balls to go around the world kidnapping their own citizens for speaking out, and they have to speak out from foreign places, they can't speak out in Iran, because that would be a certain death penalty for them and their families. Miss Ilanajad said, I can't believe that I'm not even safe in America. So I am mystified why we need to be in this nuclear deal. What is to our advantage to be in this deal? It's unfortunate that we cannot ostracize the Iranian Republic. It is a blight on the human race that such a nation exists. But it does exist. And what's worse, that there are many other nations that agree with them, that believe in their ideology. And so I ask you, what good is the United Nations? What good is this treaty going to do us if they are allowed to achieve their goal of getting a nuclear weapon in X number of years? This is not a peaceful nation. This is a destructive force on the face of the earth. Just look at the terrorist organizations that they support. So once again, I cry out in the middle of the night, a lone voice in the neighborhood. Why the fuck are we trying to get back into this nuclear deal? We should be using all our resources to stop Iran from doing whatever they're trying to do. But I know that many of our so-called allies are willing to do business with the Iranians. And certainly two powers that are in the nuclear deal are not unhappy with the Iranians like we are. So in this world, this divided world, all types of nations exist. And unfortunately, many nations do not see things the way that we see things in the United States. And believe me, I know that we are no bargain. But even with all our faults, we're better off than most. But we still have a lot of work to do in this country. So I'm going to leave you with that right now. And I'll see you in the morning. Bye.